welcome back to my channel. Luna wants to say hi to you all. She has been super obsessed with me today, so she'll be popping in and out of our video. In this video, I'm going to film my experience as a law student and what I wish I knew. As a first-gen Latina lawyer, I wanted to share with you today my experience as a law student. The good, the bad, overwhelming, and everything I wish someone told me before I started law school. Whether you're preparing for your 1L year, applying to law school right now, curious what it's really like, this video is for you. I went into law school as a first gen. No one in my family had gone to law school as an attorney or even just a graduate program. I had no blueprint, but just determination, passion, and honestly was so nervous to go to law school. I remember I had this conversation with my family and my now husband of what I knew and what I had heard about law school. It's super intense, blah, 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 so much work, this and that I prepared them for me to basically be like, you won't hear from me. I'll be my nose is going to be inside of a book all the time. I'm going to be so busy. You're never going to see me. There's like high amounts of stress. I might have health issues. Like I remember having that conversation with my family. First year, your 1L year, it was so intense. I also started during 2020, so the pandemic, everything was shut down, and most of my experience was over Zoom. Added to it, to the stress, to the disconnection sometimes, and also to this feeling of I don't know what I'm doing, everything's so new. Law school, you go to law school and it's literally, you're just being taught a new language, essentially. There's so many readings that you do. I want to say like you have like five or something classes your first all year, and you're reading like over 20 pages a night, and you're briefing cases because you're going to get called on, so you need to be prepared. So this is like every night you're reading, briefing cases, taking notes on your reading, so if you have questions, make sure to write them down, summarize what you learned. And again, because it was COVID, law school was a bit of a different experience for me. Cold calling is still a very big part of law school culture. They're not as mean about it anymore, I would say, but my property professor, cold call. You could see there was like multiple screens where he could see every one of his students, and you can see him looking around, who is he gonna cold call? Even though if it was behind a screen, I would panic. Even when we started going in person, like cold calling, I panic. Because you're like put on the spot, they ask you a very specific question about a case, and you're just like, oh no. I will say one of my professors would actually let you know when you're on for a week. So for my torts class, he would send emails to the students who are going to be on call that week, so you better prepare all your briefs for that particular week in that class because you're going to be called on. Again, this was because it was over Zoom. There was a lot of self-doubt. Is everyone else feeling this way? Obviously, we couldn't really interact. So that was very heavy on my mind, my 1L year. You're not the only one. If you are in law school feeling that way, you're not the only one feeling that way, because trust me, I have felt that way, and so have many others. What helped me survive in particular is having my support system. So my husband went with me to law school. We traveled, we moved. He was a big support, checking in on me, making sure I'm eating and getting hydrated. Also, even though it was Zoom and during COVID, there were still moments for us to interact over Zoom. So study groups over Zoom. A lot of the clubs actually met over Zoom, so you got to meet everyone. You would show up with your coffee and you're meeting with everyone. And then once we could start seeing people in person, your friend groups are your support system. I remember when I got my midterm grades back, I thought I did really well in one class. I did absolutely terrible. So taking advantage of office hours, again, they were mostly via Zoom, they're a great way for me to learn and grow and do better in law school. All throughout my 3 years, there were so many moments where I questioned whether I belonged there, whether, being an attorney was for me. There weren't, in particular, very many students of color at the law school I went to, and let alone there weren't very many Latinas. I had maybe one or two that I could think of at the top of my head. But I think that was also very important. But I also realized that my experiences and my culture and my upbringing brought very many valuable insights into class, where I could, so sometimes people thought one way, well, I brought this unique and different perspective that others didn't think about. I knew that my lived experiences were more, I guess, not necessarily something that held me back, but more, it was more of an asset, showing and, to not doubt myself and my experiences. Here are some tips that I would recommend, or that I wish I knew to succeed in law school. One of the biggest things is learn how you learn. Everyone is a different type of, learns things differently, visual, whatever that may be. Know how you learn, because you're going to have to dedicate and fix it a good learning schedule for you in particular. Just because you see this person learning this way doesn't mean that you learn that way. What makes you learn something? Is it writing it over, reading it, writing it again? Is it visualizing, seeing videos? Is it flowcharts showing you how this particular thing works? In law school, you do outlines. I love doing my outlines. I did flashcards. If flashcards help, use flashcards. Study groups. Sometimes with a study group, you might feel like it helps you. I wasn't necessarily a type of person that really liked study groups for only very limited times. I got distracted more than actually getting work done, so I didn't do study groups a lot. But for me, it was taking notes. So what I would do is I would write down my notes as I'm reading, and then I would type up my notes because I organized it by class, case brief, so I wrote it down at least twice. Writing down just really nilly, then reviewing those notes and rewriting them in a more organized manner. That for me, writing it twice, it sticks in here. I also did that in class. I would write down, and then after class, that same day, I would rewrite my notes and include examples and stuff in those notes, because that is how it was up here. This is how I retain that information. So knowing what type of learner you are, tip number 1 on how to succeed in law school. Law school isn't just about memorization, okay? I just want to make that note. Yes, it does help, but it's not just that. Also, tip number 2, this is not something I personally did, but some of my friends would wait until the final, because sometimes the final is all your grade is. But don't wait until your final to organize, to review those notes weekly, to keep on top of your reading, keep on top of your notes, preparing flashcards. Preparing for your final starts on day 1 of that class. Don't wait till the end. Start early. Rewrite your notes. Work on your outline weekly, because that means you have to review those notes every week and add it to your outline. It's constant. Don't just start your outline at the very end. I will say for your first L year, I would wait maybe 4 to 5 weeks before you start your outline, because then you need to get a hang of how to stay on top of your reading, do this and that. I think I did mine around week 5, my first L year, and then after that, obviously you don't need to. Every week, reviewed my notes from my readings, reviewed my notes from the class. I had 2 sets of notes, and every week at the end of the week, every Saturday morning, I would add it to my outline. Again, also reviewing past exams if you have midterms, reviewing that before your final. Reviewing quizzes if you took quizzes. Your book sometimes has quizzes. review those before. That to me, that's what I did. The tips I'm telling you is my actual lived experience. I did that way beforehand, and a lot of my friends did that too. I would stay on top of it because I knew this is how I learn. This is how I'm going to do it. And that's what helped me in law school. Don't just wait till the very end. I saw people at the very end scrambling, not knowing, oh, they forgot. They didn't do very well. My third tip to you all, just because I not only got my Juris Doctorate at the same time, I got my Master's in Public Administration as well. Biggest thing is protect your mental health. There's so many moments in law school and getting my master's where I felt burnt out, especially my second year, because I was constantly doing work, not taking time for myself. That is something that I had to learn my second year, and I think I did much better because I finally realized, hey, it's not only about doing the work, but also doing stuff to help ease your mind. And that's what I did. I started hanging out with my friends more, doing more stuff, going on date nights, going on long walks, doing other things to help protect my mental health. Even for me, it was just like going and doing my makeup, going and doing my hair, like going and having dinner with folks, like that. Those little moments protect your mental health, because at the end of the day, you have to be well physically and mentally to be able to continue. That first semester of my second year, I was getting maybe 3 hours of sleep. I was, constantly doing work. I found a schedule for myself, so, but mental health. Which leads me to tip number 4, which is, for me, I scheduled every single detail of my day of every week. I literally had Sunday through Saturday. I would put down all my classes at what time they were and then built my schedule around that. I scheduled when I had dinner. I scheduled when I had breakfast, and I scheduled when I had lunch. I scheduled when I would go work out, scheduled when I did homework, scheduled when I do like extracurriculars. I scheduled every second of every day from Sunday to Saturday. That's what it looked like. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Every day I had my schedule, what I was doing. I also, because I'm more of a list person, organized person, that is what helped me stay on top of all my work, but also anything outside of law school. Really recommend to do that. If you guys want to see how it looked like, I would be happy to show you all. But that is my tip number 4. Schedule. Be super organized. Make lists if you have to. And that schedule that I made, I would always put it up where I could see it every day in my home office. My husband always saw it, and he took a picture so he knew what class, if I was in class or anything like that. Very important. My next tip is something that I kind of learned in law school, not in undergrad, just because some of my undergrad classes, it was a little bit different. But in law school, don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask questions. I often felt like this question's so dumb. And professors will tell you, no question is dumb. Ask the question, because oftentimes I found that no one wanted to ask that question, but it was on everyone's mind. So ask questions in class, ask them outside of class. You need to do it for your knowledge, for you to know that class well and to succeed. So ask those questions. Go to office hours. Maybe your friends, your study group might know the answer, or you all have that question. So you all go to the office hours together and say, hey, professor, we have this question. Ask questions. I still, as a young attorney, still ask questions all the time because there's some things I don't know, because, obviously you have to experience and learn still. So I ask questions still. The last tip I have for you all is own it. Own your story. You are there for a reason. You deserve to be in that space. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to take up space. Whether you grew up around lawyers or you're like me, no one in your family is a lawyer, went to law school, even went to graduate school. you belong there. Your voice matters. It's important. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. We need more of you in these trying times, especially if you are Christian Latina. There's very few of us in this field, about 2 to 2.5%. So just know that you are there for a reason. Keep doing it. You're doing it not only for yourself or for your family, but for your community and those people who you are going to help. You're passionate about helping someone. This is why you're doing it. So keep going. So if you're about to start law school, you are in law school, or just curious, law school proved to me in many ways that I can do something like that. Law school was hard. It showed me how I can be flexible, how I did not only just my Juris Doctorate, but my master's. I proved to myself that I could do that. It helped me build my confidence. I'm more outgoing. It tested my limits. It just reiterated to me why I wanted to do this. I love helping people, and I'm so fortunate now that I can. I do wish I had given myself more grace. It's okay to feel lost if you are. Just keep showing up. Ask for help. Take care of your mental health. Don't lose the process of who you are, your background, process of becoming a lawyer. If you're about to start law school, or you are already in law school, I see you. I've been there. It's not easy, but you're not alone. If this video helped, please like, subscribe, drop your questions or tips in the comments.